Check out CBF's shell recycling efforts. Oyster, clam, and mussel shells can all be recycled here. When oysters are harvested from the bay, it removes potential habitat for new oysters to grow. And since oyster shells are becoming increasingly scarce, the Save Oyster Shells Recycling Program offers a place to eventually return used shells to the Chesapeake Bay. However, before this can happen, recycled shells are cured on land for 6 months to remove any organic material or bacteria. Next, millions of oyster larvae are placed in large water tanks filled with shell bags. In the tanks, larvae attach to the shells and are now called spat. Now you may be wondering, why do we recycle oyster shells and restore oysters? Well, to answer that, we have to take a look back at the history of human interactions with oysters in the Chesapeake Bay. While the story of the Chesapeake Bay starts 10,000 years ago, the chapters involving humans begin around 3,000 years ago. Traditional ancestral lands of several tribes of indigenous people were found in coastal Virginia, including, but not limited to, their descendants still live and work along these waters. And just across the Lynnhaven River from where we stand in the Great Neck area of Virginia Beach, deposits of shellfish and other materials called middens indicate the Chesapeake tribe harvested oysters and other shellfish to eat, using some shells to create shell-tempered ceramics. Nearing the end of the 1500s and the beginning of the 1600s, Powhatan created an alliance on the eastern coast of Virginia that was home to around 30 tribes of Algonquin-speaking American Indians. These individuals harvested oysters near the shoreline by hand or with the use of tools, wading in the shallow water and favoring mid-sized oysters. This harvest method ensured a sustainable, long-term oyster fishery. European colonists arrived at the beginning of the 1600s, providing written accounts of oyster reefs filling the Chesapeake Bay, even proposing navigational hazards. In their letters back to England, they noted how large the oysters were. Some were around 13 inches long. Imagine needing to cut an oyster in half before eating it. Plus, Captain John Smith noted an oyster reef that was 7 miles long on the Nansemond River. However, illness introduced by Europeans caused significant loss of life among the indigenous population. Colonists took land, causing wars and social upheaval, only furthering the loss of life of the indigenous people living in Virginia. In this time, the oyster remained integral, as colonists collected oysters by hand near the shore to eat. The winter of 1609 was even known as the starving times at Jamestown, but the colonists survived by eating oysters. As the colonist population grew, contributing to the decline of the indigenous population, the colonists harvested more oysters with boats to access deeper waters for their harvest. Along with boats, oyster tongs entered the scene in the 1700s, allowing for the removal of more oysters from deeper waters and leading to the harvest methods seen today. Speaking of boats, that's how CBF gets our next restoration method into the Chesapeake Bay. Let's walk over and check it out.